Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, America's #1 trusted resource for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Starring award-winning real estate coaches Tim and Julie Harris. Get ready for unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what is truly working to get you into action and make you money in this new real estate boom. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate Coaching Radio, and we are your humble hosts, Tim and Julie Harris. A few announcements before we finish up the topic we started a couple days ago. Oh, and by the way, Julie, welcome to the radio show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, as always.
So a few announcements real quick. Number one, we have a new sponsor, and actually, you know what? I'm going to hold off on announcing a new sponsor until probably tomorrow's show. Free coaching call requests. We added more capacity. Some of you guys were requesting free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com, and you were having to wait 2 days. Well, we fixed it, added some more staff, so now we're able to get you a free coaching call sometimes in some cases the same day, usually the following day. So go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com. We have been getting a lot of emails asking about the student loan program. So the student loan program is still available. That means that you can enroll in our premier coaching program, the Breakthrough Coaching Program, which is normally $997 a month, but when you use student loans, the total payment is only $359 a month. And this is not some watered-down version of the Breakthrough Coaching Program. This is the full-blown, full-fledged, all-access Breakthrough Coaching Program. But when you finance it, basically it makes your payment less. So for those of you who are worried about payments, those of you who are worried about the financial obligation, well, this will make it so that it's much easier for you to do so. And the last announcement, and this is again a response to probably 5 or 6 emails that we received, is some of you are requesting, some of you guys are interested in talking with us about becoming a coach. We welcome those conversations. We are definitely growing and expanding. We definitely want to add more coaches. We're looking to probably add another 20 coaches to our staff this year. So if you're interested in becoming a coach, we do have some pretty tough criteria. I'm just letting you know that we probably talk with, I don't know, Julie, what would you say? Probably we talk with 10 folks that want to become coaches, and we probably can seriously consider 3 of them. But that's
Definitely.
okay. So we're looking for folks that either have a background in the coaching space. It doesn't necessarily even have to be real estate, by the way. We have some great folks that used to coach Olympic athletes. Those are great folks to have on staff. Or have a long track record of success selling real estate, or ideally, rather, they have a long track record of success selling real estate and some coaching background. But if you have a long track record of selling real estate and no coaching background, we're also interested in speaking with you. We're primarily focused on just hiring agents, realtors, brokers who have been there, done that. We don't want folks that are just script readers. And I know a lot of you guys have been through coaching programs where you found yourself having a coach who'd never sold real estate before, or you have a coach that literally was just reading a script, and after a few calls you figured that out. We are a premier coaching organization where our goal is to provide the highest quality coaching in this industry. And so as a result of that goal, we are focused primarily on folks that really are willing to really set aside their egos, open their minds to a lot of intense training, and become the best of the best in terms of becoming a real estate coach. So, Julie, any interesting conversations, any interesting things crossed your desk today?
Yes, many of our coaching clients and our coaches' coaching clients, we think of all of them as our coaching clients, of course, so I always get a little tongue-tied when I talk about that. But, we have been talking about a book called The Big Leap, and we've seen so many agents that are on track to do more than they did last year or to double their business. They're on track to meet or exceed their goals. And when they're there, they're finding that maybe they've found this little speed limit to their business. Once you get 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 pendings at the same time, you got to manage all those personalities. You got to be careful that you don't self-create something to fall back. And I find, Tim, that as a coach, one of our most important responsibilities and accountability to those types of clients, really to all of our clients, but especially when they're at that level, is to make sure they realize that they actually can handle as much as they want to with the right systems in place and the right coaching and accountability and support structure, and to not look at that higher volume as just some freak of nature, some fluke that happened that month, and to set in place what it would take to make that the norm for them if that's what they want, right? So to see they're feeling that limit, they're reaching that speed limit, Well, what are we going to do about that? Are we going to put systems in place so we can maintain this and actually do it with ease? Or are you going to freak out and trash the rest of your year because you had a panic attack from doing so much business? Which is it going to be? So a good coach gets in front of that and helps them work through it so that they can meet and maintain and do things with grace and with ease versus with panic. Does that make sense?
It does. And really what you're going back down, what you're kind of drilling down on is the fact that success, not just occasional success, not just a good month or a good week, but long-term ever-increasing success. And some of you guys need to accept the fact that that is what your life should be, long-term ever-increasing success, not just, cash spurts, but consistent
Random
cash flow. Not just having a good, year, but having a good, life. So accept the fact that you can be successful continuously and ever-increasing. It's just essentially learning the basics, a lot of it's the basics, and then accepting the fact that really the key to success comes down to two things. If you don't have everything that you want in life, if you don't have the lifestyle, the cars, the clothes, the whatever, it's because you have yet to embrace the fact that success follows the mindset that you have to be of service to other people. And the more people that you're of service to at a high level, the more money you're going to make. If your mindset is, well, I just want to help 5 people, well, you're only going to get the benefits financially of having helped those 5 people. And you're going to, have depending on your goals, right? I'm not judging. I'm just, speaking practically here. You're going to have a very limited lifestyle, very limited experience. I was on a coaching call this morning with someone I've coached for a long time, Ben, in LA, and he goes to Big Bear every year and he's skiing, and he's going to make over $1 million this year, and he's kind of in this rut, nice rut. I know some of you would love to be in that similar rut, but I asked him, I said, Ben, how much longer are you going to be happy going to Big Bear to ski every year? Why don't you start thinking about going to the Italian Alps to ski? Why don't you start actually challenging yourself to think bigger? And those conversations are always fun. They make a lot of folks uncomfortable, but also it opens your eyes to the fact that really the difference between going to Big Bear to ski and going to the Italian Alps to ski, in their all reality, is maybe helping another 20 people. That's it. Helping another 20 people accomplish their goals will allow you to accomplish your goals. So that's the first thing that all of you have to embrace. Get on the other side of the fact that this is a people-helping business, and the more people you can help at the highest level to accomplish their goals, everything will improve in your life. Now, the second thing is, and this one is so unpopular, people don't like this, and I get why. Heck, I'll tell you what, the first time Julie and I kind of figured this out for ourselves, trust me when I tell you, I didn't like it either. But long-term, ever-increasing success comes down to doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. And again, I'm going to say it and internalize this and accept it. Doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. For some reason, societally, we've convinced ourselves that we have to have passion to be successful, or life should be fun, or all these other sort of crazy thoughts that come from who knows what. But the bottom line is work for a reason. It's not called fun. It's called work. And oftentimes, work sucks. It's boring. It's
That's
arduous.
why we call it that.
It's right. Work. And I don't care what you do. You can be a movie actor. You can be an astronaut. You can be a jet pilot. You can be something that in your mind you'd say, oh my God, that would just be wall-to-wall fun. No. Virtually everything is boring and requires you forcing yourself to do it at the highest level. The second part is the most important part. It's not just quote-unquote calling it in. It's actually doing it at the highest level so you get results, leading back to the first point that hopefully all of you have internalized, that helping more folks at the highest level, again, is going to get you everything that you want in life, and frankly, everything that your family could ever need, everything. You can create generational wealth. But please, please, please stop believing that you have to have passion to be successful. Have passion for what comes as a result of being successful. Have passion for life in general. Have passion for being able to help people. Have passion for being able to spoil your loved ones. Have passion for being able to spoil yourself. Much of real estate sucks, just does. Okay, when you have to pick up the phone and you have to do some prospecting calls, when you go on a listing appointment and the house smells like smoke and the dog pees on your shoe. I mean, Julie and I have had all of these things happen to us.
Yes, sometimes all in the same appointment.
Actually, that real thing, you know what I'm talking about, right? That appointment we went on like 20 years ago. Yeah, I mean, anyway, You guys have your real estate war stories too, or at least if you don't, you will.
Right.
We didn't have any passion for being in that house and helping that, listing and the seller and tell the lady that, guess what, the house smells like the back of a diesel truck. Is that fun? No. Okay. But we had passion for, the results of the transaction. So get your head screwed on straight about this. If there's anything we can be doing to help you, guys, please request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. So we are going to pick up where we left off yesterday. And guys, this is the third part. We've never done a 3-part radio show before. Ooh, I have an idea. Let's call this a mini-series.
There you go. I like that.
Okay. So we have just enough content left, and we're talking about the greatest buyer lead and seller lead generation tool ever, 1-800-HOME-HOTLINE.com. But we're also, and have also been sharing with you scripts and techniques to make it so that your contacts with the leads that you will easily and effortlessly, and by the way, almost free, generate from 800-HOME-HOTLINE.com become paying clients. So Julie, pick up where we left off yesterday.
Okay, perfect. So we had talked about the fact that you will do better if you get more information from them first before you tell them what they're calling about, which is almost always the price. So we talked about doing some light pre-qualification so you know who you're dealing with. Let's say that you got there. You know what they want. You know that there's somebody that you want to work with. So you close by saying, okay, I found the information on the house. That home is currently priced at $649,900, and it sounds like it'd be a perfect match for you. So let's do this. I'll set up a showing for you on this home, as well as a couple of others that meet the same criteria. Today at 4 o'clock or Saturday at 11, which is best for you. Okay, so also note to self, set the appointment to meet at your office, not at the house. Just be smart about that. I could talk another 20 minutes about that, but I won't. So that's how you end up closing on the appointment after you know what their price range is, what their criteria is, how long they've been looking. If they have seen other homes, which ones have they liked, maybe close them on that. So if you missed previous radio shows, get caught up on that because this, again, is the continuation. So little secret kind of in between topics here, Tim, and then we're going to talk about when you call the leads back. This was when it was a zero transfer lead that we just talked about. We'll talk about the script for calling them back here in a second. But first, little secret, we're giving you permission to have a no-jerk policy. It's okay for you to not to want to work with somebody after you have asked the questions that we've been through. Establish a no-jerk policy. If they're rude or nasty to you, just be polite and get off the phone. You don't have to go through the torture of the rest of the conversation. If they're not motivated, it's okay to simply let them go. Let them waste somebody else's time. You'll determine their motivation by asking the questions we've been going over. Trust your instincts. Don't waste your time by trying to make an unmotivated lead into a motivated lead. Note to self.
Julie, let's break that down, okay?
But go ahead. Yeah.
But let's break that down. A lot of you not a lot. Some of you guys will take what Julie just said as an excuse not to master the skills that are often needed when dealing with people that are slightly abrasive. There is always going to be probably 30% of the marketplace who are jerks. It just is what it is. That is their persona. If you're on the East Coast, it might be more like 90%. You guys know what I'm talking about in New York.
Right.
But the thing you got to do is don't just basically decide to go and hide under a rock every time you come in, across somebody who's abrasive. When you stick to our scripts and you ask the questions that we ask you to ask, like we asked you to ask them, don't change them. Use the questions in the order. Use the phrasing that we gave you. Listen to it. I was going to drill down on this a second ago, but it's worth repeating. When Julie was saying, giving you guys a quick script and how to set an appointment, it wasn't, can we meet at the house? It was, I have time today at 6 o'clock, or would 6:30 be better for you? You see how doing it that way versus asking, in essence, a yes or no question is going to get better results? So don't just run and hide every time you come across somebody who's a jerk, because jerks are part of the equation. And most of the time, when you run across a jerk, especially if you're calling somebody back who's really motivated, in some cases, because they're under a lot of stress, maybe they have to sell a house quick, maybe they're worried about not getting a house in time for school or whatever, and because most people do not experience the level of stress that often is brought on by a real estate transaction on a regular basis, they don't have the skills developed to handle the stress. So you have to, in many cases, almost be a coach, a counselor, a confidant, certainly an advisor to help them get through the process And so be very mindful of the fact if you find yourself only working with the nicest of the nice people, you're not going to have a very long career. So when you run and hide from someone who is maybe abrasive to you, challenge yourself to that. Be introspective. Ask yourself, did I just basically lose an opportunity because I don't have the skill set to work with people with differing levels of, let's just say, personal presentation, okay? So Julie, let's go to the next point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's excellent time spent on that, Tim, because there's a difference between somebody who's just being rude, abrasive, and is just a jerk versus somebody that's kind of coming off that way because they're so highly motivated and frustrated that nobody's helped them. You've got to be able to draw the line on that. The reason we took the dog pee smoke-filled house is because they had to sell, okay? So there you have it. So don't over pre-qualify, but do ask good questions. So the script for calling back your 1-800-HOME hotline leads. So let's say somebody called on one of your homes for sale. You see their phone number and the extension in your phone. Okay, so number one secret, calling people back within a minute or less from when you received that notice on your phone is the secret to making the system work. Calling them back now while they're most interested will result in a dramatic increase in the high quality of lead conversion. Remember the rule, at least 30% of your calls will be buyers who also have a home to sell. You're showing them that you're a proactive, powerful, responsive, aggressive agent. In other words, you are showing them that you are the right agent for them. So let's get into the script. Remember, you're calling this person back. You know what they called on. You're calling them back immediately. Hi, this is Bill Smith with Bill Smith Realty. As a courtesy, when people call on our home hotline, we like to give them a quick call back to see if they have any questions about the home they called on. Now, what's the typical response to that, Tim? Remember, I called you back in a minute or less.
That's right. So, by the way, that's what we call furiously fast lead follow-up. And by the way, we have trademarked that. So if you want to borrow it, you have to credit us. Furiously fast lead follow-up. So when you call them back, hi, this is Tim Harris with ABC Realty. As a courtesy, when people call our home hotline, we like to give them a quick call back, see if they have any questions about the home they called about. And here's what the response will be 99.9% of the time. Wow, that's impressive. I appreciate that. You called me back really fast.
Is this a real person?
Is this a real person? Or they'll think it's a recording. They'll be like listening to see if it's a recording. Or they'll say, you know, in other words, the response will be positive. Oh, yes, I know. Some of you skeptics listening are going, now, come on, Tim. Some people are going to be pissed off you called them back. Yes, that would be the 1 out of 100. And who cares? Yeah, don't let the 1 out of 100 ruin your possibilities. It doesn't make any sense, does it? So, yes, when you call them back, they're going to be thrilled. They're going to be pleased. And you'll hear sometimes them saying really funny things. Like if, for example, they're reloading from another city or they've had previous experiences with agents, the number one complaint that folks have about realtors in every survey of folks that have recently closed on a buyer or seller side is what? You guys know this already, don't you? That the consumer was dissatisfied with the agent because of their lack of communication. So right out of the gates, when establishing a new relationship with someone, because you're doing furiously fast lead follow-up and you're calling them back right away, you have already differentiated yourself from any of their previous agents or any of the other agents they might be considering working with. Powerful stuff here, guys. Julie?
Well, and it is true. Many times, we heard this when we did it, and certainly our coaching clients report back the same thing. Many times, it is one of the neighbors calling on that sign that you just put in their neighbor's yard, and they will tell you, as soon as you called me right back, I knew you were the agent for me, and they will list with you. So don't blow off this furiously fast lead follow-up thought as well as the script, because you might be surprised how many times it is an honest-to-God listing lead, and it's yours, so run with it. So when they say, wow, that was fast, you say yes as a courtesy. Go ahead.
No problem. As a courtesy, we like to call people back immediately to help them with any questions that they might have. Our home sellers expect us to do this, and I'm sure if you had a home for sale, you would expect us to do this as well. So now, what's the secret about making that work? Again, we're calling them back immediately, furiously fast lead follow-up, and then we're asking you to drill down and immediately, almost indirectly, start a conversation about having their house for sale. So the next question they're going to ask, because if you'd listened 2 days ago, we told you to give them a price range, not a price. The next question they're going to ask is about the price. So they're going to say, what's the list price on 123 Elm Street, or is 123 Elm Street still for sale? So we're going to get to that. Now, sometimes when you call them back, you will have their phone number on your caller ID. Sometimes you don't, and if you don't, just simply say, that's a great house, everyone's calling on that one. By the way, this is Bill Smith, with whom I'm speaking, right? So you'll get the information that way, but you will have their phone number. So that just depends on how complete the information was that you were texted with. All right, so if now, you're going to, go ahead, Julie, I'm sorry.
Okay, so then you're going to say, that's a great house, everyone's calling on that. Just like you did before in the script that we did before. So you can refer back to this. You now are back into that normal script, the same stuff that you used if it was a zero transfer direct to your phone. Now we're going to get into, before we talked about if they did not have a home to sell. Now we're going to talk about if they do have a home to sell. Okay, so remember, one of your first questions is, which home in the neighborhood are you considering selling? When they tell you that, then you're going to say, it sounds like you're telling me you've got a home to sell. Ideally, how soon would you like to have it sold? Now we're getting into time frame and motivation already right off the bat. Well, probably in the next 90 days or so. And they may go into telling you why. Maybe they're relocating or they're building or they're doing whatever. So just listen, write down their responses so you can have a good conversation. But then you're going to repeat and affirm, great, 90 days. What's causing you to want to sell in the next 90 days, if they didn't already tell you? Well, my wife's expecting her third child. We only have 2 bedrooms, what have you. Congratulations, that's wonderful. Sounds like we should be getting together on your current home for sale to see and meet that time frame. Tell me your current address. Now you're getting into a seller pre-qualification script, right? So one of the things I want you guys to notice is always energy and enthusiasm, okay? Unless they tell you they have to sell because they lost their job or something that you might not want to be so excited about. But generally, you want to say, congratulations, that's great. Okay, so then you get into your seller pre-qual. That's a great area. You were smart to buy in that area. Based on the recent sales, what price were you thinking about for your home? That's interesting. And what price won't you go below? So now I'm deep into a seller pre-qual, taking their temperature, seeing what's in front of me. Okay, great, that should work. So just so that I can make sure public records are correct, and how much do you owe on the property? You can talk about, tell me more about the house. Now you're getting into a listing script. Okay, and maybe you want to even still take their temperature. I'm sure you're not thinking about trying to sell it on your own, are you? That's seeing whether they're a FSBO or not. Any changes or updates that you've made to the home since you bought it? Flooring or roofing or anything like that? Tell me more about the house. Okay, great, and that'll certainly add more value to your home. Smart of you to have done that work. Will tomorrow at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. be better for you so that we can meet at your home and get the selling process started? You might say something lighter than that, like so we can put a game plan together along those roads, but you're certainly closing. Now you're going to roll into your pre-listing package stuff. Great, next I'm going to send you over a package of information for you to review before we meet. Please take a look over the information. I created this package in order to save you time. 99% of the questions that you'll have for me are already answered in this package, so please review it beforehand so when we meet we can focus on what's most important to you, getting the home not just listed but sold. So this is about all it takes to convert a hot lead or a lead follow-up call from 1-800-HOME hotline into a real listing appointment. In essence, your listing presentation already started the moment they called 1-800-HOME hotline with your extension. You have already proven to them that you're not an ordinary agent. Qualities that you've just demonstrated by following the script are exactly what every home seller is looking for in an agent they're going to hire to sell their home. Okay? And Tim, you mentioned, according to NAR, #1 complaint that consumers have had about agents was lack of communication. So using 1-800-HOME hotline cures that, and the happy byproduct of that is more listings and easier buyer leads. So from beginning to end, you're showing them that you are on top of it. You call back immediately. You use good scripts. You ask them questions. You care about what's going on with them. You ask about their situation, their time frame, their motivation, and then you end with a close. Now remember, what's the definition of closing? In this case, closing for a listing or buyer appointment. Closing is the logical ending to a great presentation. So even though we've been talking about this as lead follow-up, in essence, you are presenting. Every time you talk to somebody, you're presenting. So Tim, I mean, I feel like I'm overselling this, but this is such an exciting, inexpensive tool. I don't know why everybody wouldn't use it.
Well, you know, there's a lot of added lines to the script too that when we talked about the previous 2 days. Like some of you will say, if you're only listening to today's show and you haven't listened to the previous 2 shows, you might be thinking, well, why didn't you ask if they had a house to sell or if they're working with another realtor or something like that? Well, we covered all those scripts, but just real quick, the question to ask is, I assume because you're calling me directly, you're not working with another agent. So that'll really usually vet out whether they're working with an agent. And even if they say they are, remember to drill down again and make sure that working with an agent, it means the same thing to you as it does to them, because oftentimes you'll find that they may have spoken with an agent 90 days ago, or they're getting emails from 5 agents, but they're not really committed to anybody. So unless you ask the follow-up question, you won't know for sure. So there's that. And the other thing is some of you will be saying, well, what if they didn't have a house to sell? Well, in the case that they didn't have a house to sell, going back to what Julie was talking about at the top of today's show, then you want to obviously go through the qualification process as far as their lending and all that good stuff. So if it's just a straight-up buyer, then you set an appointment at the office, use our buyer presentation, having hopefully spoken to their lender prior to them meeting with you so you know for sure that they're qualified, get them to commit to you, sign the agency form and the buyer agency form, and then you have a buyer that's committed to you. So this whole process, guys, I know we've given you a lot of information. We did that intentionally because I want you guys to be exposed to the fact that you should be excited about the fact that there's a lot you still can learn to improve. And we say this all the time. Most of you, or at least the top producers, that you'll get the biggest difference with just maybe 10% more skill, 10% more effort, 10% more of just this, that, and the other. You don't need to totally and completely throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can actually improve dramatically the results you're getting from your business by making even the smallest incremental changes. Changing the manner in which you ask a question. Don't ask yes or no questions. Giving them a choice of times. Julie also touched on something else that's absolutely critical, and I know most of you are definitely guilty of this. You've got to be using a pre-listing pack. Pre-listing packs have been around forever, and yet there's so many agents that use none at all, some little thrown together something, or their broker's standardized, which is better than nothing, pre-listing pack. You guys have to develop your own pre-listing pack. There was a big report that NAR sponsored that came out that's talking about basically all the ills of our industry. And they all revolve around basically the same complaints and challenges that the industry's had pretty much forever. All the normal things you guys have heard, there's not enough, the threshold to become an agent is too easy. The number of educational requirements once you get your license is too easy. That the inexperienced agents are basically harming the reputation of the industry. All this, right? But you know what? Inman asked us to quote on that. I give a quote on that article, and here was my big takeaway. The fact that there's so many marginal and less than marginal agents makes this the best industry of all, because it's easy for you to win when your competitors aren't really trying, right? It's easy for you to become a superstar. It's easier for you to become fabulously wealthy when your competitors, for the most part, are so low-skilled. So when you hear and read these negative perceptions of our industry, in the back of your mind, you should be smiling, because you should be thinking, in order for me to win, when I'm competing against a bunch of folks who obviously don't invest much in their own educations and their own skill sets and their pre-listing packs and learning processes and actually learning how to sell, learning how to be a true trusted advisor to consumers, when there's so many agents out there that are just so marginal, it's easy for me to look like a giant. And you know what? It is. It absolutely is. So embrace that, guys. Request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. And like always, you will need basic critical tools in your toolbox if you're going to succeed long-term in this business. Obviously, we're huge advocates of coaching, but you also want to seriously consider Z Buyers. They're a great source for buyer and seller leads. Now, as we discussed on the radio show, we're interviewing one of the owners of Z Buyers. We absolutely positively want you to learn to generate your own leads first before you buy leads. But as a secondary, third, or fourth spoke on your lead generation wheel, you might want to consider Z Buyers. It's a great company, ethical folks. And the other one, obviously, is mojosells.com. Mojosells.com is something that every one of you should have as part of your business. It's not just for calling unrepresented owners, a.k.a. FSBOs, not just for calling expireds. It's basically a management tool for doing outbound prospecting to everyone. And all of you should be doing that. In a day and age when everyone tweets, everyone emails, everyone status updates, everyone basically tries to do passive stuff to communicate, there's nothing more powerful than an over-the-phone conversation. Well, I mean, there is one more thing, a face-to-face conversation. So the more you're willing to have those conversations directly with folks, the more success you're going to have, especially because all your competitors are migrating towards the passive stuff. The postcards and the tweets and the whatever and whatever will make the phone call that much more powerful. So guys, if there's anything we can be doing for you, anything at all, ever, I want you to request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Julie, anything else you'd like to say to these guys before we wrap up today's show?
Nope. Keep it in momentum, be coachable, and use what you hear on the radio. It's only as good as what you actually do with it, so don't be an ordinary agent and say, hey, that was a great radio show. Actually implement, and you will soon find yourself making more income as a result.
And thank you sincerely, guys. And I absolutely positively, as does Julie, as of all of our coaches, thank you sincerely for making us, making this the #1 real estate show for agents. It's, it's our, if there is a passion that we have, it's helping you guys. It's not real estate necessarily. It's helping other business owners succeed. It's knowing that what hopefully we're passing along to you guys, assuming you're willing to listen, assuming you're willing to apply it, knowing that that's going to help you improve the quality of your life, that is what drives all of us in our business. And you can sense that when you listen to the radio show, hopefully. You can sense that coaching clients when you engage with your coach. So if there's ever anything we can be doing for you, please request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. And also, if you want to learn more about our student loan program, go to timandjulieharris.com, or you will also learn a lot about that from our coaches during your free coaching call. Have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the radio tomorrow.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows. And until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.